Yo ho ho! What's going on, boys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you One Punch Man, chapter one. I guess it's 170, 171
Yeah,
podcast. So the arc is over. We're still in the phase of discussing the repercussions of the arc, possible predictions of what's going to be happening next, and the storylines that different characters are going to be unraveling. And we're probably going to touch on a few of those things here in this video. But for the most part, we're going to follow along to the chapter and discuss the different components of what's happening here, as we're still having some interesting, very interesting resolutions going on here, especially with regards to the end of the chapter and Black Sperm. So before we begin, remember to like the video, subscribe, join us on Patreon, join us on Discord, and let's hear what these boys have to say about their opinions about the chapter. How'd you guys feel?
so I've come to hate this phrase because of how One Piece fans use it as a shield for when a chapter isn't up to par. But I have to say it. Yeah, this was pretty much a setup chapter. All right, it was pretty tame by One Punch Man standards. We had fighting, but it wasn't as exciting as you're accustomed to with the series. But yeah, as Grim said, like we ended the arc. We're kind of in the aftermath of everything still. So this is just it's just a bridge to get to the next point, which is required. So it's nothing wrong with the chapter, but like I said, it's pretty tame by One Punch Man standards.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Setup chapter. Not too much happened. There's a couple of different things to talk about. Maybe a couple or one thing I didn't quite like actually, and we'll get to that. But yeah, setup chapter, just kind of pushing things along for the next part.
All right. So at the beginning of the chapter, I was low-key confused as to what was going on. There's a guy who not only has the exact same jawline, but he's got the same eyebrows, same mouth and nose. This character here, this A-class hero, looks almost identical to a casual, maybe even a cover page or a side art Saitama. And then I guess this was like an alleyway or a veering to get us to introduce to Saitama's new quarters. um, it looks like Caped is now in the A class. How did you guys feel about this character who looked like Saitama? How did you guys feel about us getting introduced to his new home and possibly his new rank, most likely, in this method? Like, what were your thoughts when you read this?
I'd even peep. He does look very similar to Saitama when you look at him, but I didn't peep that first time I read it. But that could have been what they were going for because out of the three, he was the one they were focusing on in the panels more so. So maybe they were trying to get you to think that, but just the way he was talking, of course I didn't think that was Saitama. I was like, what? I was confused. I was like, is this like deja vu to what happened when Fubuki tried to haze Saitama? I guess that was a callback to it. Because they, it's three people just run up on somebody and uh the person before them is stronger. So that's what I felt after reading it. But um yeah, they could have been trying to draw the whole fake Saitama thing, bootleg Saitama,
See,
great value Saitama.
I wasn't even thinking about it, but like, because it's been so long since we've been out of like some hardcore action with a set, clear goal, and now we're back to like the whole casual existence of the One Punch Man world. Yeah, the rookie hunting shit was a thing, and it was even elaborated upon that like the beef amongst the heroes since the inception of the association has always been there. Whether it's the rookie smashing, whether it's people hopping ranks and people talking shit about it, all kinds of stuff has been going on. So it is kind of nostalgic to see the dynamics between the respect and the A class. Like, would these guys walk up to Eon in the same way? Like, and for example, like, is his room number representative of his A rank number? What was his rank in B class or C class? Like, how big was the jump? Because I don't think we have a number or a rank confirmed, or that he's even A class. Mm-hmm. But I think this confirms that he's A class. Like, he's dorming here with the A class.
That probably is the case because, yeah, I felt like the whole thing that was happening was a big callback to the whole Fubuki thing when he became B class. So that would make a lot of sense. I'd even think about that in that way until you literally said it for the first time. So, but yeah, that probably is the case.
How you feeling, Sundown?
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't notice the guy was he does look a lot like Saitama, but I don't think Saitama would ever be caught dead in that kind of beanie with the musical notes on it and the headphones. Like this guy wearing cans over the headphones or the hat as well. So he's obviously some sort of musical guy, and then he got the Stevie Wonder glasses on as well. But yeah, and yeah, I don't. When I was first reading this, I thought the exact same thing as you in the sense of this reminds me of the whole Fubuki group thing again. But I was hoping from this chapter we'd kind of see a little bit more of the heroes as a whole, trying to make a bit of a turnaround, because one of the major things that kind of was a disadvantage for them in the previous arc was kind of the beef they all had. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping we'd get to see like heroes cut down a little bit on the hazing and all that type of stuff. But maybe this is kind of like an intro to that, and they'll start to show less of that happening, or maybe like other heroes policing more of that. Yeah, so I wasn't too sure what to make of it, but yeah, it looks like it's still continuing, and it's not the Fubuki group; it's just some random dudes.
Yeah, I looked up Chain and Toad because I remember him from the Garou fight, and he is not like rank 103 or anything like that. He's rank 36. I was trying to correlate the rooms that they were talking about that they were in with like their ranks, but no. So Saitama really could be high up in the A class. Do you think that would take away or like, because isn't this part of the excitement? This is like in One Piece where the world changes or we get new bounties or whatever and shit's popping out. So like, are you more excited for Saitama's new rank, or are you more excited to see how the S class ranks are going to change?
I'm more excited for the S class ranks to change because that is more unpredictable than, to me, how Saitama elevate, because we know Saitama's going to elevate. It's just a matter of how much and at what point. What evidence are they going to have to finally elevate him? Because we already know his levels, obviously, S class should be S plus plus plus. So it's just a matter of when, like I said, when they're going to get evidence for that. But the S class changing around is really interesting because I have no idea how it's going to work. Because everything that happened in Arc, I could see Child Emperor getting a boost, for example. I could see some people's ranks getting lower, like Darkshine. That to me is more interesting. And then there's also the notion that some more S class could get introduced. Like maybe there'll be a new S class member.
I completely forgot about Shiryu. We got the prospect of Garou joining the S class now. We got the prospect of Eon, Fubuki moving up. Gearspur put in a lot of work too during the invasion. Spring Mustachio also is in the A class, so he should move up too, and he can make a big jump or a big spur difference there. We're definitely, and since you're talking about people who could be demoted, I would love to see what the response or what the excuse or what the presentation is going to be for a Mind Mask, because he is that gatekeeper. So if this gatekeeper did worse than three of the individuals that were here that were in the A class and participated in the invasion, then what are we talking about? Are we talking about his popularity just doesn't matter? Like, a my message is not going to move from that rank. Like we know you can skip ranks. We know you can jump or be brought into the S class automatically. So would it be crazy to say that Ian doesn't have to take a Mai's place? He can just hop right over him? Like, do the other two disciples, like, are they gonna move up too? Like, what are your thoughts on them?
What were you gonna say, Satsuki?
I was gonna say it kind of thinking about that makes you think like what exactly is Amai's role as a gatekeeper? Because to me, to be a gatekeeper or whatever, you have to be definitively stronger than the person you're supposedly going to keep out the S class rank. So are there people who are already in A class or the S class level, but because they're not stronger than Amai Mass, he's not allowing them in there? I mean, we know like there's a person like Fubuki, for example, but she's not A. But yeah, that makes me wonder. Too,
I mean,
like,
but because going with that same thought process, that would mean that we would be pushing the assumption that Pooty and Tank Top Master, for example, are stronger than a My Mask. And
yeah, that's why I brung it up because okay. No. I'm not saying they are. That's why I brung it up. Like, at what point did he become this gatekeeper? That's more so like what I'm trying to get at. And does he just do they have to just show enough for him to go like, okay, you're S class in my eyes?
See, because I feel like the reason he was always seen as that gatekeeper was because of his popularity, rather than there might have been some element of it, maybe like 30 to 40% of it was whether he was stronger than the person that was beneath him and whether he would allow them to go up. But it was always about him having, like, I assume it was because he was so popular, he was responsible, or he is responsible for some amount of revenue that comes to the Hero Association, or some amount of attention that comes to the Hero Association. So because of that, they always kind of want the green light from him, and they ask him, well, what do you think of this guy? Do you think he's worth coming in? Is he going to draw like enough attention? Is he going to be kind of the whole package for the S class, rather than Blast, who's kind of has all the power but is never really there? So people, like, if you mention Blast to the public, they'll be like, yeah, we don't even know how the guy looks like. So I think that's part of the reason why they continue to treat Amai Mask the way they do. Now, whether they continue to treat him that way, considering how badly he performed during this last arc, depends on really whether anybody really ratted him out, whether anybody said he performed badly. Because it's not like Second God had his eye on him the whole time, and nobody really had their eye on him. All they saw was him get ripped in half. I think the majority of people probably saw him get ripped in half. Child Emperor definitely saw him get ripped in half. And then suddenly he's back with like no clothes on.
See, this is, and I want you to respond to this. I don't mean to cut you off, Sundown. So please keep going after I say this, and then respond to it too if you'd like. But the fact that you point out that a lot of these feats really depend on who's seen them or not, and we have literal quotes and instances in the arc of people saying, "Oh, that must be Darkshine who's causing this commotion," in reference to Tatsumaki, or people not seeing how a homeless actually died in the hands of Zombie Man. King, everybody, quote unquote, including Metal Bat. No. I think just Metal Bat seeing King's what was it? The super or the ultra, the ultimate Hellfire wave motion cannon. Them seeing that, like, shit like that is definitively gonna matter in regards to who's gonna get accolades and who's gonna move up. Especially, but in consequence, also thinking about the events that are just as great, if not greater, that nobody was privy to, that nobody knows about. I guess the contradiction is Saitama. What did people see Saitama do? Who talked about Saitama? Who hyped up Saitama? Who gave Saitama credit? How did the association know that Saitama was affiliated with this invasion for him to have moved up to 8 class?
I guess the only one who could give him credit for anything is Flashy Flash and Genos. But then you have to think to yourself, like, what could they give Saitama? They can't give him Rover. They can't give him Orochi, and they can't give him Garou.
Yeah.
I don't think he has anything. I think we have to think about it. I don't think he did anything that they know of.
Yeah, so he might literally move. We have no idea how Saitama is actually moving forward or moving up the ranks. It might literally be through referral via Flashy Flash and maybe Genos. But the thing is, I think what's been happening more and more is there are more people within the upper echelon, so S-Class, Flashy Flash in this instance, who know about Saitama. Last time it was Bang. I think Tatsumaki's maybe getting a little bit more of an inkling, but she still doesn't know. Maybe Fubuki. Blast, does Blast still know? At this point?
For sure. That's different. That's different. I wasn't talking about the heroes who are going to be acknowledging him. I see it as a whole, it's a completely different conversation.
No, but these are also the people that might have kind of pushed for him to be pulled higher.
See, that's the part that I was going to disagree with you guys when you first mentioned it. I don't know. Because have we seen that before? Have we seen recommendations or info spewed by heroes be used for rank movement?
Well, we have a mind mask not allowing people to get higher. So surely if someone like a My Mask was to say, I want this person in S-Class, then they would be ranked up, right?
But isn't
surely the opposite is true?
For sure the opposite is true. But we would have... So I was going to say, he's a gatekeeper. He doesn't necessarily... Like, his role is unique, I would say, amongst all the characters. Yeah. So I guess the standing question is, who gave Saitama the recognition to move up to A-Class? Like, how did he gain it? Who saw him? What information was given for this? Because this is, I mean, once again, I don't think we have it completely confirmed here, but to have 3 A-Class heroes in the association itself, like they're physically at the association, come to this guy and be like, hey, neighbor, come say hi to us or something like that. It kind of feels like, and I think it confirmed early in the story that the headquarters of the heroes, or like the heroes, were now allowed to live at headquarters, and that they were going to be designated based on class.
No clue.
It was after the destruction of A City, right?
Yeah.
They then rebuilt, and I think you might be right, where heroes weren't living central like HQ, but they were living around HQ, and they might be designated further and further away depending on which class they are.
Yeah, like the S class would have its own dormitory or whatever, if to describe it like that. I mean, maybe, but we got because it seemed like Darkshine was just a guard type setup there, like he was protecting the headquarters. It wasn't like he was in his dorm room or anything like that. And I think on Tatsumaki's day off, we saw her at a place. I think we saw her at her own apartment or in her own house, and that wasn't in A City.
Knowing Darkshine, he probably has his training facility there on site, so he was just probably the most logical bodyguard.
What's up, Keishan?
Hi.
Where you been, bro?
Working.
Getting that guap, huh?
I guess so.
How'd you feel about 171?
It felt, let's say, incomplete because it seemed like they were kind of threading a few things, not major plot points, until towards the end, of course. Like the whole, like you guys were just talking about where King is located right now. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not his normal apartment, right? Because, I don't remember it being as upscale, per se. Or am I just forgetting, or maybe it got a redraw, and we don't even know it.
No, for sure, that's not King's apartment. He even says it in the dialogue here. I know I don't have it up on, I'm not sharing it on Discord, but I'll read it. It says, King replies, "Oh, neighbors? I came to visit the guy that lives here too, but it looks like he's out. So, so yeah, this place that they're at the association headquarters is not King's apartment. At the same time, I mean, you were here when we asked the question, right, Keishan? Do you remember if it was made official that the heroes were now to stay at the association?
I don't think so.
I think it was. I'm remembering that for a reason, or at least that they were invited to. Because I know we still
might
have
be more feasible.
Yeah, because we have Tatsumaki, who doesn't, assumingly, I believe, doesn't live at the association. Genos doesn't live there. Isn't Pooty Pooty in jail all the time? So he doesn't live there.
Yeah.
He just strolls out when he bored.
Yeah.
Child Emperor is wherever the hell his lab is, presumably.
Yeah, he's got a lab in J City or something like that. So he doesn't live at the association. Metal Knight, we don't even see that nigga.
He might not even be on the planet at this point. That's why he does drones for everything. He's like, I'm not there. How the fuck am I supposed to do shit?
Shit. And yeah, the rest of the characters are unconfirmed. Like, we don't know about Tank Top's whereabouts enough to say that he's at the association. We don't know.
It's safe to assume Flashy doesn't live there because, given his assassin status, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want anyone knowing where he.
I don't know. To me, that's not strong enough reasoning. I mean, I don't have a reason to say that he is or isn't staying there, but I mean that's a reason. I don't really have a reason to say either way. That's what I'm saying. I don't have any evidence. Like Watchdog, for example, I can definitively say Watchdog does not live at the association at A City. Because
he lives at a train station.
Yeah, Q City. And they ain't leaving nowhere. But yeah, I don't know.
Now I could see like them having rooms there waiting because, you know, especially now with events like we're seeing in Z City and stuff, like whole cities now potentially could be destroyed at any given time now. We're getting to the point where monsters are getting to that point. It's not just, like a few city blocks or anything like that. We Z City is now forever changed. I think that's safe to assume, right? So, like, I think all the heroes are given, like, rooms just in case, like, say, from the various cities that they live in ever get damaged to the point where their home is now gone. They have a place that they can go.
I love the continuity of that. Like, there's so many stories, we were talking about video games and shit too before the stream, where like something happens and you don't see it again, or it gets fixed, or it's not significant anymore. And it's like, I love the fact that in chapter like 30, what was it, 31, 32, 33, something like that, an entire city got wiped off the face of the earth in this manga. And it was just done. And for a fact, it was confirmed, like literally on panel confirmed, shown to us that they killed all kinds of motherfuckers. Because there was a little girl in the rubble. They even went as far as to make it a little, where are your parents, little girl? Fucking dead. They're dead. They just died in the bombardment, bitch. Like, that's wild, bro. That's wild. Like, I love that. That's I fuck with that. And it's to bring up Z City. I believe that this was happening in the abandoned portion of the outskirts of Z City as well.
But I'm just saying, like, we're seeing monsters that totally reshape the landscape now. I mean, part of that obviously was Tatsumaki, but I mean, the fact that she had to do something like that shows that the threat is getting larger at certain points in the story.
Low key, I think only Orochi and Garou have that claim without help. Well, no. Yeah. Because Garou had the Great Fajin, and Orochi was moving, in the redraw at least, he was moving like those mountain ranges with its blast and shit like that. But besides that, Sairochi needed God's help in the fusion. Homeless could probably do something similar or crazy, but not as big. He'd have to get some real control under his shit. But he was boosted by God. Rover was like busting like multiple city blocks with his it would be much more than that. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about like in regards to what we saw on the surface in consequence of his attacks towards the ground or just going after Garou. It was lifting multiple city blocks, like an entire port. Like if you live in Florida, you know what Ybor City is. All of Ybor City just got clapped by one rover blast hitting the top, bro.
Good riddance.
Yeah,
Too soon.
bro.
Too soon, damn it.
Yeah, bro. Like, half of downtown is devastated, man. Like, because of one rover blast. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I think, bro, like, Keisha, you out here bringing in big facts, bro. Just out here open up conversation topics and shit, bro. I fuck with it, bro. Now that we're talking about, the phrase that Keishan said, now we're starting to see monsters who are changing the landscape indefinitely. We were told, and we were given more context to in this arc, that there's been a progression of the appearances of monsters throughout the story. Even to the point to where they started seeing more demon level monsters, and then all of a sudden we got the onset of individuals who could beat those same demons alone. Where it would take 6 to 8 A and B class heroes, now there were individuals who could beat them alone. So we know that there's been a progression over time of crazier monsters. Boros was the first, as far as we can tell, the first big boy, the first big burst that hasn't been matched yet. Hasn't been matched until Garou came around with his great Fajit and shit. So I think you may be onto something inadvertently, Keishan, in regards to like pointing out the scale of growth or the scale of threat that spontaneous monsters are presenting. Are we predicting that in these next consequential arcs we're gonna get more dragons, not just dragons that are stronger than the ones that we've encountered, but like literally numerously more dragons or even more demons and stronger demons too, like demons that are more so on the verge of dragon? Like what are your predictions in that sense? Because this is we're still in the predictive phase.
Well, I mean, obviously all that would probably come to pass. I mean, demons are probably the most numerous of the monster levels that we see throughout the series overall that actually cause real damage. And then dragons, obviously, like now that we've seen god level threats basically at this point, dragons are still not to be totally disregarded, but they're probably going to become quite numerous now that the heroes are able to more or less combat those threats. Maybe it'll take a couple of heroes, at least for an arc or two, until dragons are like the demons of the past. Like how you were saying, like the numerous demon level threats eventually rose up, and then eventually you had the heroes that were laying the way for S-Class to be invented are able to take them all one-on-one. We'll probably see that more so with the demon or the dragon level threat going forward, and we'll probably dabble more into god level threats as, progressively. Not like they won't be a dime a dozen kind of deal. I mean, to be honest, this arc itself was, I would say, probably, at least for the foreseeable future, kind of an outlier. Because we had, Homeless Emperor, his connection to God. We had the connection with Garou. Potentially, well, I guess it was technically confirmed with Sairochi and, all that stuff. So that was like 3 in one arc. It's like, I don't think we're going to see that level of pure power in any arc for at least a few, I'd say. But we're probably definitely going to see more god level threats. And obviously, they may not be necessarily a big bad, but more likely than not, they will be.
Well, to add on to that, yeah, I'm of the same mind as Keishan. I don't think we're going to upscale the power in this arc, because I think if we're going to do something in this arc, it's going to be focusing. Well, I'll just say this, because this makes it real simple. For there to be bigger threats in this arc, that means the sole person who is going to handle it is Saitama. Unless Blast just comes back again. Because
we saw what happened there. It didn't work out so well.
Yeah. So I feel like if you want to make things interesting for other characters, you can't have a bigger threat than what you had.
Time out. Stop. This is the first time where that's clearly made sense. No, let me not say that. There are other ways to do this, but listen up, folks. That's how you point out a way to not just make your story, oh, it's just the next stronger guy, the next stronger guy, the next stronger guy. According to Satsuki, one has positioned himself in a way that he should not make his next villain stronger or as strong as the one that we just had. And don't get me wrong, we're talking about instances like where you have a climax and a rising action, so you have to get a build up first. You have to get a build up for sure. And maybe individuals could say or claim that like we're just in a build up phase. So of course you shouldn't have a monster that's stronger than the previous high point come up here out of nowhere, or maybe even be the consequence of this very next arc. But I could come back and say that a nigga like Boros came out and ended what, a mini arc at the beginning of the storyline that had almost no build up. There was no consequential build-up or setup for Boros to arrive. He spontaneously came into the storyline. Until this day, he's beloved by the fan base. Entire fanboys will give that sloppy toppy, that gok 9000 to the second bit, to the second for Boros. So I just want to I want to point that out and highlight that maybe you're right that the next big arc doesn't have to be somebody who can challenge Saitama, because maybe that dialogue that we got of Saitama saying that I think I finally found that fight that I wanted, but I feel like shit, or something like that. Like maybe that's what we're going to be addressing next.
And then too, I think if we're going to do anything in this arc, is going to be more so like, I don't know, revitalize the hero association some way somehow. We already talked about like how the rankings are going to change, and possibly like the ramifications of that based on heroes' reaction to that. Because like, for example, if we were to move down on my mask for his poor performance, he's not going to like that. And then, you know, there's also the possibility that people will move up a rank, or you know, go from B to A or A to S, I don't know, and maybe they can't handle it. I feel that would be more interesting than necessarily just having a central villain who is stronger than the last one, especially because we ended off the arc with the villain having immense power. Like when we finished the whole Boros thing, we didn't have someone who was stronger than him the next arc, because we didn't really need it, and it would have felt a little weird. He was spontaneous though, so you never know, but that's just how I feel about it.
Aliens just invade.
So now, how do you feel about the onset of monsters as of yet, and how that's gonna predict the consequences of the not only the next upcoming arc but future arcs?
Yeah, so I think I basically agree with Satsuki in the sense of I don't think it would be a great idea to have essentially the same progression that, if all of you have read Bleach, what Bleach did, which was every villain had to be stronger than the last one, apart from one arc. We don't talk about that arc, but
yes, we do.
we don't talk about that one.
It's been
We don't talk about the Rave Master arc, man.
No. Yo. Some people think that arc is filler. That is so funny. They'll be
Are
like,
we
"Can
talking
I?"
about Fullbringer?
Yeah, they'll be like, "Can I
Okay.
skip full brain?" No, you better read it like the rest of us.
Hey, look, if you ain't seen Bleach, skip that arc. Skip that arc and pretend it didn't happen. To be fair though, everybody came back with a cool hairstyle, and yeah, everybody came back K-pop, bro. It was so cool. But yeah, but essentially, you don't need to follow that progression where every villain has to be stronger than the last one. And to be fair, that's one of the major things that really turns me off about a lot of manga and a lot of anime.
What turns you on?
The opposite of that, which is story-driven villains.
Ooh.
But yes, so yes, so yeah, they don't have to be. Each monster doesn't have to be like, oh, now we have to go for dragon, god. We have a whole bunch of like lore dump that happened this arc in particular. We have God now being like an actual character that people have seen, interacted with, and now know that they possibly need to kind of be prepared for. We have things like the ninjas and all of their history and lore that we can dive into. We have Genos and his history we can dive into. We have questions around Amai. Why the hell is he like he is? He got ripped in two and suddenly he's okay again. What the hell's up with that? Why is he so crap? And then we have things like, bro, the Sunblade. We want to see more about that, named after me, obviously, and all these different things where I think we can have villains, even villains who aren't actually monsters, villains who are humans. For instance, the ninjas. We don't know what the hell's going on there, and that would be some really really good storytelling. I think there, a lot of exposition, a lot of kind of world building, and I would be 100% cool with that. It wouldn't have to be, oh, this is Boros 2.0 or Boros 3.0. It could literally be any of those things. I'd be like, yo, this is pretty awesome. This is quality One Punch Man. So yeah, I echo exactly what Satsuki was saying in the sense of it doesn't have to progress like that. It could take a different turn, and I would be completely happy with that. And if it was to go with like the next kind of best thing, the next biggest monster, I'd hope we'd have like a couple build-up arcs, so like dealing with a couple smaller things like these lore and exposition dumps before we get to that point.
So, as we progress through the chapter, we see and we play chicken or hide and go seek with a few different remaining monsters. Evil Natural Water, Black Sperm. These two monsters survived two really, really, really ridiculous encounters. How do you feel about, and I didn't mention Rover, I apologize. It's because he's a puppy now. We'll talk about him as well, but how does this change your opinion? Like, because funnily enough, this is not just in the positive, how I think about it. I think potentially this could ruin or downplay or tarnish the appearance or the reputation of certain characters in individuals' eyes based on the fact that they survived and they've been reduced to these states, or the dialogue that's been given about these individual characters or the physical presentation. So first, please tell us what your initial opinion or your overall opinion at the end of the arc before this chapter was of Evil Natural Water, Black Sperm, and Rover. And then, if them being alive after the fact and in their current state, if that's improved your opinion about them even more so, like, oh damn, this motherfucker's a super tank, even a serious punch couldn't take him out, or is it like, oh, so you're back to this vulnerable state? Like, if that takes away from it, from the character from you, like, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So you said before the chapter. So, Evil Natural Water. I think I had the same opinion before and after reading the chapter. His potential seems bigger than what he actually showed on panel, because you would think that with water and its abundance on Earth, that he would be the villain that you would have to worry about. But time and time again, while the story has tried to make him like seem super dangerous, it hasn't really panned out. Dark Shine's up there doing Old Spice commercials with him. Then he's getting waxed. You know, it is Saitama, but again, other than looking cool, he didn't really get any showing. I mean, the fish were looking more terrifying than himself. So, with that being said, the fact that he survived all of that, I guess you can say that's something in of itself, and that is why I believe he is still alive. So I don't know. I want him to be dead just so he can stop disappointing me. But yeah, that's where I'm at with him. Black Sperm before the chapter. Yeah, most dangerous villain. Of course, with the exception of Garou or maybe even more than Orochi, because of again, like Evil Natural Water, the potential, what he could do. Kind of disappointed me with Platinum Sperm. Golden Sperm was kind of cool for a little bit, but yeah, Black Sperm, what he could do in that form, the constant splitting, what he was able to do against Atomic, what he was able to do multiple heroes across the board. Like he was fighting everybody solo dolo. Yeah, most dangerous in my opinion, with few exceptions. And after the chapter, I don't question his threat level if he's right, but my opinion is like, how is he going to be kept alive with his malicious nature? There's no way.
Hey, bro, why you skipping to the end of the chapter, man?
Well, you're asking me my opinion. I won't say anything, but I feel weirded out with his position now in the story. That's all. That's what I'll say for now.
Me too.
And then Rover, I pretty much expected this. Literally, me and Matt. I know the podcast didn't pick it up because we said it literally after it was ended. But when we were speculating on what was that black thing at the end of the chapter, me and Matt were literally like, well, we thought that was Rover, and that wasn't Rover, that was Black Sperm. But we thought that this would happen, that he would be in a smaller form like this. So this is what happened to Rover is pretty much expected. So my opinion really didn't change.
Is he gonna like? Because Kishin and Sundown still have to go, but also include this in your responses. Are they gonna grow again? Like Black Sperm said, all he has to do is eat, and he increases his numbers exponentially. We know how even natural water gets stronger. Like people are even talking about theories about like him being alive. It's still inside of Pig God's stomach, and so does that mean that Rover's gonna like grow? Like, the fuck's gonna do? Like, how does that work?
See, but you didn't want to meet. You didn't with Black Sperm specifically.
Nah, bro, you're cheating ass.
No, that's why I say I don't want to really talk about it because that, you didn't want me to go there yet. Do I think they'll grow? I don't know. For Rover, I don't think so. I think he'll stay in his puppy form, honestly. I think he'll be Saitama's pet. And if he does grow, he's still going to be under the command of Saitama. So he'll never be that. He'll never be the Rover that we knew.
Yeah, so I think with even natural water, I was kind of okay with the survivability, just because of the fact that it's a body of water. How do you kill water? In terms of whether evil natural water is going to grow again, well, he got eaten up. So I think it's game over for him. He's gone. Black Sperm. See, I'm not sure if I'm okay with him surviving, but I can't remember. How was he taken out? Was it Garou just kind of speed blitzing him?
Pretty much.
Yeah. See, so I suppose he was defeated, but it wasn't like.
Wait, say what? What'd you say? What was the question?
How was Black Sperm KO'd? Was he killed on screen, or was he? I don't remember him being like evaporated or.
He merged all of his resources besides a certain 100 or a certain number into Platinum Sperm, and then we saw Metal Bat destroy that reserve number, but we didn't know that there was some left over, that there was this one left over. So he died by merging all of his efforts to fight King by turning into black sperm, or excuse me, platinum sperm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think for me personally, I would have wanted this to be the end from like a story perspective for Black Sperm. But once again, his survivability would be off the charts, like Evil Natural Water. Like, how do you kill someone like that without making sure that you've killed every single cell or every single sperm? So yeah, I mean, I can't really argue against it. I'm just not sure if I'm a fan of it. And then with Rover, I feel like the sentiment is kind of different because he's not really a sentient being like Black Sperm is in the sense of, you know, able to converse, all that type of stuff. And he doesn't seem as inherently like menacing or evil like Evil Natural Water. Like the first time we saw Rover, when Garou rolls up in that tunnel, and I know Grim likes tunnels. But that's when Rover looked the most menacing, yeah. But other than that, Rover's kind of he's been flitting between kind of being a monster and just being a dog. So I don't think he's been as menacing as Evil Natural Water, and I think he's going to kind of take over that kind of mascot style position now. I hope he grows again, and then like there'll be like a running gag of Saitama not recognizing that this dog he was able to pick up is now like 10 feet tall. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, I'm the only one I think I'm not too happy with is Black Sperm survivability, and like Satsuki was saying, there's more to it than just Black Sperm surviving. It's more about how he fits into the story from now on, but we'll get to that.
Okay, basically my thoughts are I enjoyed each of these monsters in various ways. Black Sperm was... Do what?
I said you enjoyed them, huh?
This guy.
Shut the hell up. I enjoyed their characters in different ways. I mean, Rover was just a delight because of how simple it was. You know, it's just a slightly mutated giant dog that could shoot fire blasts and everything. So that was simple, fun, destructive. Always going to check off all the boxes if you do that. Just a giant Pokemon, basically. Evil Natural Water was probably my favorite of the executive monsters, mostly because of the fact that it was like you didn't know if it was going to be a friend or a foe to them, and that was by the Monster Association's own admission. So it was like, yeah, we kind of had to lock this guy up. He's our last resort, so... And almost everything he just comes in contact with, he just wants to absorb. So it's just very simple-minded, but a fun, like, nature of it. You know, just being an amorphous blob of ever-growing water and everything, and the organisms that once lived in it. I hate that that's no longer a thing, but, you know, such as things go. Also, its creation, like apparently that was made as a weird experiment, so that's cool. And then, so yeah, that Black Sperm, he was interesting. A lot of hype behind that character. Wasn't sure if it would pay off. It paid off in some ways, but I never felt the hype that the community was. But, you know, it was kind of hard.
Do you know why? Let me not. I'll wait till you finish.
Because of notions?
No, because... And I'm going to let you finish, Keisha, don't worry.
No,
but,
fine.
like, I honestly feel like there's... The power scaling that we do really impedes, like, the natural, normal conversation. At least in regards to Discord. Because here we can have regular conversations like normal people and really discuss all the ins and outs and every single detail of the story. You could really put out your ideas and have somebody contrast it or tell you that you're not too credible or that you're right on the nose and it makes sense. You can put out any kind of idea like that. But for the most part, I'm really, really impressed with Black Sperm as a character. Like, I keep emphasizing the fact that this individual fought every single character that the association had. Like that's ridiculous. And I'm really upset. And this is not about atomic hype. This is about like how it's affecting this character, Black Sperm in particular. I'm really upset that not only was Atomic Samurai able to just turn his blade around and then figure a method to defeat or incapacitate Black Sperm, but that other non-affiliated samurai and non-affiliated characters were also able to effectively damage or hurt this guy, when his whole introduction was all about like, hey man, when you attack me, it's hard to beat me because I split up into even more things. And that wasn't happening that much. We saw it a few times on the surface where, for instance, Tatsumaki was grasping a Black Sperm or the psychic powers, and then he like morphed like 3 or 4 times like out of her like influence to create a single Black Sperm that managed to escape. And he was like, you can't hold me down with that shit like that. Like that was more of what we saw in the beginning when he first fought Atomic Samurai. Like to have Atomic Samurai in the beginning come up with the Focus Atomic Slash was solely coincidence, because he had fought Melzagard, and according to the dialogue, he had practiced this technique specifically for facing an opponent like this. And it just so happened to be that Sairochi matched him up, thinking that it would be the foil for Atomic Samurai. But to have every character quickly incorporate that same foil, not even discuss it or talk about it, like you didn't hear Atomic Samurai say, "Hey yo, you got to do this whenever you're fighting a Black Sperm to incapacitate him." Like no, people were just doing all kinds of things. It was almost as if every single other type of attack besides the Atomic Samurai slashes work effectively up against Black Sperm. And it's not that necessarily. And it could be. So, for example, you could interpret it as Black Sperm's only power is whenever you cut him, he splits. But he does more than that. That's what it seems like. And alternatively, we are just talking about people punching and using trauma and force to hit Black Sperm versus slicing and cutting him into multiple pieces. So, sure, you could point that out. But that's my only issue. That this character was introduced as difficult to deal with in regards to what happens when you attack him. But then so many different heroes were attacking him and they were doing okay. Like it was almost as if like we didn't see enough panels of him splitting or what he did in consequence to all of these great attacks. He was just getting beat or knocked out or destroyed too often, in my opinion.
And that's the same issue I have with Evil Natural Water. I guess like yours is a little more profound because we saw and through dialogue we knew that Black Sperm was he there was like certain things that you couldn't do against him, like he explicitly states, or he'll just continue splitting and it'll become a more difficult fight. So that gave you hope that he would be dealt with in a creative way, and that's why I'm so adverse to Golden Sperm and more so Platinum Sperm, because it was a cool showing at first, with the whole speed and everything, him, Flashy Flash, Garou, but it's in a way he limited himself, or he exposed a weakness of himself to where he could just get punched and it's done. That's why like Black Sperm was more interesting, because it just felt like he had an array of things he could do, and it was he almost seemed unstoppable. But if it is the case that he does grow into the Black Sperm that we know and love, maybe you'll get your wish, Grim, and Atomic will get his rematch in the future. Who knows?
I mean, since we're already touching on it, like the reason why I'm uncomfortable with Black Sperm right now in the position he's been put in, since you and Sundownrider pointed it out, is because they're all gonna identify him. So I'm just like, I'm okay with this because I'm excited to see how one's gonna deal with how all the other heroes saw and know and fought this motherfucker. You know how much shit Black Sperm was talking to Tatsumaki and Genos, bro. This nigga was talking cash money, and now they're all healed up, non-radiation, not healed from radiation sickness and shit like that, getting out of the hospital and shit, just chilling, about to encounter his ass. Like, like he was stepping on Genos, kicking that motherfucker. Like, you really think he could walk up to Saitama and Genos won't blow this motherfucker? Like, shit.
That's an interesting point. But I'll let people talk because like I really just want to get into like the story implications of it, all this, because man, I don't know.
I mean, we'll get into it after Keishan finishes.
Well, basically, like I said, in some ways he didn't live up to the hype that we had been literally like hinted at for what, years at this point? And then when he finally had his supposed big moments, it didn't really pan out the way I think any of us really thought. But I mean, still good moments, just too much hype for too long can sometimes just ruin things for you, you know? But let's see. Now that I've covered what I thought of the characters before this chapter, my thoughts afterwards and their survival rates. Feasibly, all of them could have survived. I mean, Black Sperm is the obvious kind of like, kind of on the line. Because as far as we knew, all of his cells had been destroyed. But then this one survived, so I assume there was an emergency, like, once they started getting annihilated, the detachment force, or whatever the hell he called, like, that 100 or 1,000 of them, it probably was like, ah, crap, okay, someone hide, you know. But, yeah, so him surviving is feasible. I think we all knew Rover was going to come back into the story when we didn't see him die. So, yeah, as it was mentioned, you guys saw that a mile away. Him becoming Saitama's pet, oh, that's just adorable. I do see him becoming the Rover we've seen before, but like a limited burst, maybe a Super Saiyan moment, like when he gets really angry and wants to protect Saitama, he like grows back into his original form and just blasts the fuck out of shit. And then once he's exhausted that, he like, you know, just goes back to normal. And every time Saitama will fucking miss that. And he won't remember that that's the same dog. So I'm thinking that's going to be a running joke with. And then as for Evil Natural Water, well, I already have a bias towards him, as I mentioned before, so it makes sense that he would have just split apart, because, I mean, blunt force on water, it goes everywhere. I mean, Saitama, you know, punches everything to viscera, but water isn't viscera. It just goes splashy, splashy all over the place, and then, yeah, there was water everywhere. I'm surprised there aren't more of these, like, evil natural puddles roaming around. Maybe that'll... Well, I mean, it's true. That's about how big it was. So, we might see more of those, to be honest. And that would be interesting. Like, Black Sperm, I'm pretty sure he is absolutely the last one of him. But Evil Natural Water, it is... The gates are fully open. The floodgates, potentially. That he survived, but in minuscule forms. Maybe various sizes as well. And they're just so far scattered that that's why it's not as noticeable yet until they start reforming or individually getting bigger. Hell, that might be a point in the next arc that, like, they're like, what the fuck? We killed you. You were dead. Why are there more of you now? This is starting to get freaky. Everyone, go to the store and buy all the water and hide that shit. You know, so I could see that being a thing for Evil Natural Water going forward. I'm actually kind of wondering, considering that it's a pig god that takes out that one, is he going to be the torchbearer of like keep like finding these things if there's more than one and just keep eating them because he's the only thing that can hold him in? Like
Evil natural water is going to be like the nine-tailed fox now.
Bro, even natural pig. Stop.
That'd be kind of trash, but
Even natural
don't know.
god.
Natural big man.
Stop.
I don't know. I don't know, but I feel even natural water is alive, man. Anytime I think he's gone and I want him to be gone, he's not. So I gave up.
Evil pig water. Stop.
Nasty as hell.
no, he evolves into hot dog water.
Evil natural acid. I'll take it.
Watch his sweat turn
Okay.
deadly.
I like even natural acid. All right. Okay.
I just can't wait to see what happens when he sweats and the needles start forming from the beads of sweat.
What if he starts like eating his pit god's food?
Oh, sweet heavens. No.
Yo, evil natural calorie deficit.
Evil natural tapeworm.
He's tripping.
He won't be pig god anymore. He'll be thin god.
He'll be mad. He'll be mad as hell. Yeah.
He's
We'll
like,
finally see that special move of his.
it'll be funny. People start noticing it, and it's like, I think he needs an intervention. I think he's becoming bulimic or something. And then he's like, guys, I think I have a problem. What is it, pig god? I'm losing weight, and it's scary. I eat. Well, God, you know what I eat. I eat like a buffet for every meal. So it's like, this is very weird. Yes, it is. Go see your physician. And maybe a therapist. Because we think you have issues. But yeah, I could see that happening. That'd be fun.
So it looks like black sperm. Well, go ahead, Satsuki. You're talking about story implications and in reference to black sperm. Elaborate, my boy.
Ooh. See, you can pull this off with evil natural water because right now he's in pig god's stomach. So like you could do something to where like you're biding time in the story and something happens and he resurfaces. You could do it with Rover because as Keishan already said, like Rover isn't necessarily malicious. What was going on in that art is more of like an instinctual dog type of thing. And the fact that Saitama has kind of tamed him, you can work it in a way that he's like a pet and he could still resurface, but not as the Rover again, like I said at the beginning, who was attacking any and everybody. But black sperm is different. For one, the fact that he popped up in front of Saitama because he's like, oh, look at how he's treating Rover. Listen, I don't think Rover is cute. But Saitama apparently does. Cool.
He is adorable. You're a monster for thinking otherwise.
I'll be a monster. Just make sure just make sure I'm a dragon. That's it.
No, you're wolf class, goddammit.
Yeah, I'm a dragon. But listen, okay. Like I said, I don't think Rover is cute, but whatever. But I know for damn sure Saitama ain't gonna look at black sperm and be like, Kawaii. No, you should get knocked out. They should knock
that
his
bitch
ass
in a
out.
terrarium.
He is
Scorpion.
Black sperm is ugly as hell, boy. So like he shouldn't survive. But I feel like the way they're writing it, he has to. Because why leave that on a cliffhanger if they're just going to beat him? I just can't see it. So I don't know how he's going to get... First, yeah, that's the first thing. I don't know how he's going to get out of the situation because they shouldn't see him as like this cute, cuddly... No, his name is Black Sperm. He has a human face and is ugly. And then two, I don't see like how Black Sperm is going to do the same thing as the other monsters where we're biding time in the story, he's regaining his strength. Like, how is that going to work? I feel like the only way that would work is if he just goes in the cave or something, and then every blue moon he's eating fish to regain his power or something. He has to be out of sight, out of mind. He can't be this present in the story and this works out because, as you already said, Grim, he's fought like damn near every hero. They know about him. They shouldn't allow him to live.
Bro, I get so mad at how much niggas downplay that. Like, bro, how do you fight the entire association? The entire association. And then you're still right here in chapter 171? How are you not that thing? How are you not that thing?
You gonna fuck around and be like, well, y'all let Garou live.
That was time travel shenanigans.
Girl, damn near killed the whole association in the little live. You right, bro. High key, bro. High key, I'm leaning so hard towards no, they're not gonna let him live. Like, I'm just like you. I'm like, how was Saitama's not gonna be like, great, like you said, to Black Sperm coming? Like, no, bro. In the moment, look, this very same chapter, King was out there at Saitama's apartment when he wasn't even there. Same thing was happening before the arc started. Saitama wasn't in his apartment, and Fubuki and Genos was all up in that bitch. The moment anybody from the squad, anybody from the new Fubuki group shows up to chill with Saitama or whatever, and they see Black Sperm sitting there chilling in the apartment or some shit like that, it's fade. It's a fade right there. And God forbid that Black Sperm gets his energy back and he gets to 1 trillion. What was he at, like 84 trillion or something like that? Up against King. Let him get to, God forbid he gets to 1 trillion. What's gonna happen? He's gonna have to fight Caped?
Oh.
So we have the whole thing of Fubuki, Bang and Bomb. They fought Rover, so they're going to identify him as well.
But I feel that is a little more feasible because of his size.
Oh, so it's going to be a negotiable because he won't be acting the same?
Yeah. The thing with Black Sperm doesn't work because no matter his size, he is still malicious. He is evil.
Yeah. He is an evil little man. Indeed.
In fact, they're going to be like, okay, because he's weakened, let's kill his ass. What are we waiting for?
We can kill him with a dinner fork.
I don't know how he survives this. I've been trying to think about it, but I don't know how this works.
Also, quick question. What animal do you think he's pretending to be?
Monkey.
Well, okay, that's in the official translation. The translation we got when the chapter first came out implied frog or toad to me.
What are y'all talking about, bro? Like, are you telling me these sounds are affiliated with animals?
Yes.
Yeah, ook ook. That's a monkey, bro.
Then he is an ugly ass monkey.
Bruh. Hey,
with his tail grown out of his head.
So now, what does a monkey sound like?
Now, I'm no specialist. David Attenborough might be English, but I ain't David. But the sound goes ooka ook.
Whew. Man, dog. I would have killed Black Sperm on the spot if I was Saitama.
Like, motherfucker, you've killed my friends or tried to.
Like, why does he? I'm not going to ask why does he think it's sweet, but he shouldn't think it's sweet, dog. Nah, man.
I don't think he's gonna know. I think Saitama showed up after Black Sperm left the field.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, Saitama will have the least recognition, which is why the whole plot point of Genos leaving towards headquarters is so important. But the issue is Saitama almost always has Genos, I think then King, then maybe Fubuki and Bang down his house. All of those people fought Black Sperm at one point.
Oh,
Apart from did Fubuki fight black sperm?
Nigga, yeah.
Bro, he's gonna think he's like a Teletubby or something, bro.
Bro, there's no way. Because the thing is, it's not even like black sperm has changed size per se. He's literally the exact same as he is in his base form. He hasn't become any smaller, I don't think, because all he's done is lost the majority of his cells. He's like 99.999%. He's the only one left, we're assuming. So I don't think he's gotten any smaller. He looks the exact same. He looks like a horror show.
That perspective, I think, really just kind of messes with that notion.
Oh my god, bro! Saitama really is gonna let him live. he's dead ass gonna let him live. I don't know, bro.
All I can say is, as soon as he goes for Saitama food, that's when that motherfucker dies.
So like, what is the plan? Is he just gonna stay in Z City? I still don't. I don't know, man. Like I say,
Saitama's living.
I feel like he has to be out of sight, out of mind. If he goes with Saitama, like Grim already said, people like just show up to his crib all the time, and at some point, he should be found out. I don't know though. I don't know.
You know what would have made this chapter even more perfect? If we got Phoenix Man's chick form also appearing.
Bro, Psychos and Phoenix are still out here on the playing field. And
Yeah,
if
but
these
she
two
doesn't
boys
look
are
like
okay-
a little animal.
Oh, I know. I know.
Oh no,
Okay.
we don't talk about her no more.
We will though.
Because you have to remember, she run around butt ass naked. So Grim's already excited.
Thanks to
I
Orochi.
mean, they definitely saving Psychos to be like one of the key like aftermath characters, because some heroes just got straight up beat, some got killed, or not heroes, monsters got beat, killed. But Psychos, I still think hasn't served her purpose as it pertains to the story. And I mean like for the immediate future.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because, like I said, with Rover, it's always been kind of it's a case of whoever is the owner of Rover is how Rover will turn out, evil or good. So maybe with Saitama, he'll be pretty chill. With Black Sperm, it seems to be a case of this is going to be a little bit of a humility kind of humble pie kind of moment for him. But he's still going to be malicious. But then with Psychos, I don't think we ever got like a part that showed her regretting what she did, or having any form of sadness or kind of regret for all of the lives that she was responsible for. Well, Z City got turned inside out. She defo killed at least one or two people.
The only thing she regrets is that she lost.
Exactly. So then the question is she going to serve as like that kind of that medium for God at this point? Kind of going around, maybe recruiting other people to kind of become the vessel for God. Is that going to be her link to the story moving forward? Because she's the only one that. Come again?
She's going to become Peter, the first disciple of Jesus.
She's the only one that wasn't like. I don't think God actually stripped her of abilities. She just lost, right? Because the only people that God stripped that we saw were homeless and Garou, the future Garou, and they both died as a result of it. But Psycho, she just lost, separated from her huge form, well, separated from her the Orochi side of her, and she just dipped.
It's a tricky thought process to try and make any sense of that. Like, how do you choose which side of you in a fusion is the one that's getting the negative effects of possibly getting annihilated?
They flip a coin.
It's like, oh, you lost, Orochi. Bye.
Peace.
It's like, damn, I'm naked. Well, fuck it, I'm running it.
So, I think for the most part that covers everything.
Hey, wait. We didn't cover the violence to black people in this chapter. I'd like to
What?
formally apologize.
Or knock
I'd like
off.
to formally apologize,
Bro.
knowing the environment and the situation we live in today, 2022.
Man, Air is not black. I don't know what he is, but he ain't black.
Well, the brown people don't accept him. We don't take him as one of our own.
Oh, he came in there thinking he was so tough, and then he just got his ass. I said, man, get out of here.
The only thing I liked about him was that he looked like I don't know if any of you were Yu-Gi-Oh fans, but during the GX era, the Elemental Heroes, there was one of them that looked kind of like him.
Oh, yeah.
With the boomerang equip card.
Yeah.
It's
I think I know what you're
Wildheart.
talking about. I think I know what you're talking about.
I kind of
Yeah,
hope
but-
it comes back. But
Hey, he got shot in the throat, dude. He
I
coming back
know.
with like one of those, what do they call those dictaphone things?
No, that would only be if part of his throat. But if it severed his spine, he might be coming back in one of those wheelchairs too.
Yo, he at least got a concussion from that, dude.
And then he's like, "I truly am Air now." And then he goes,
He don't need
As
to
he-
come back.
He needs some
What-
milk.
What is he? He was 35, right? 35.
"Yep,
Yeah,
rank
yeah.
35."
So he's on a lower rank because I think last time I looked it up, it's 38 heroes in this class. So
Damn, that sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
There's 38 A-class heroes.
yeah, I think.
Bro, you have to think about the goal this guy had, man. He straight rolled up on Pig God behind his back, saying,
Bro,
I'm gonna kick this guy ass.
he said 5 minutes is all I need to finish off a wounded pig. What are you talking about?
Bro, that yeah, I was like, who the fuck is saying this dialogue, bro? Like, who, what? Like, what?
Yeah, there's at least 38 because
Oh, at least. Okay.
because Heavy Kong is not numbered, so it's possible that there's more. We just haven't met them, or they weren't numbered yet.
Okay. Damn. So they gotta lower his rank after that.
Well, I thought we already discussed he did.
Still lower his rank after death. Just like how they give medals to people after they die, lower his rank after his death.
It's just give him a golden boomerang and stab it in the ground. There's his grave mark. Then someone steals it. It's gold.
His design was kind of fire though. When I first saw him, I was like, "Hey, this guy, he kind of look cool though."
Yeah, you get to
And
that
then he started
eyebrow.
talking.
Then he started talking. But yeah, he has an interesting design. The hair is a little and I definitely don't like that unibrow, but everything else pretty cool.
Air.
This is so lame, bro.
So I'm looking at what he looks like
That's why you
in
got
the
pop in the neck.
webcomic. Oh.
Or it just shows you too, like how fearless or ignorant a lot of these people are of these heroes. Because if anybody knew Pig God, you wouldn't run up on him even if you thought he was quote unquote wounded.
Well, that's the thing. I'm starting to question, like, because I remember earlier, like, maybe even last year, last year, when we were, like, in the whole Sairochi fight, we were talking about if this was Tatsumaki's first time, like, fighting like this. Because according to the story, there haven't been threats like this before. This is the first time a threat like this has happened. So, like, that's really the first time that Tatsumaki had to go all out like that, or to that extent. So it could be possible that a lot of these heroes really don't know about the S-Class. They really do underestimate them because they haven't seen them. The reputations are something that are unfulfilled. Like you can go on your average day, stroll down Q City's major alleyways or major avenues and see Big God clapping cheeks or my bad, see Watts Dog clapping cheeks, but it's not like you can just see like Atomic Samurai every single day out there fighting. Like you don't see that. You don't see Flashy out there in the middle of everywhere or anywhere or in the public square just clapping niggas cheeks. Like you don't be doing that. You don't even see Metal Knight and Blast. What, like Child Emperor is a kid, literally a student, I believe. Like we don't see him, or as far as we can tell, out there in the field all the time. So like, yeah, maybe the exposure or the threats that are appearing most often don't require the S class.
Yeah, and you can also, you just think like how many demons, like we've seen a lot of demons, right? But they're all getting taken out by the upper echelon, the heroes. They don't show up frequently enough for a lot of these A class heroes to even test themselves against them. And because of that, because they don't actually like see a lot of these S class heroes like handle things, they probably think, oh, because like the more frequent thing would be, you know, lower like wolf or something. Like they're thinking like, oh, they took out a wolf. I could take out a wolf. It's kind of like that thinking, because they don't get to see them take out those bigger threats. They're thinking that they can overtake them under the right circumstances, but obviously that's not the case.
Yeah,
And then,
in that same way, I think that they're probably also thinking, you know, if all the S class got hospitalized by these guys, they're like, oh, you know, especially because Air wasn't actually on the scene. He was like, I don't know where the hell he was actually. No one said anything about that. But he was probably thinking, yeah, I could just walk in and kill these guys. These guys did a bad job. They're all in the hospital. This guy got holes in him. This guy got ripped in two. And this guy, he ain't got his clothes on.
it's the case of the S class heroes just make it look easy. Everybody think they can be Steph Curry until they actually try to shoot like him.
Yeah, is that a laugh of experience from Grim?
Hey, bro, I'm just saying. Damn, bro. Black Sperm saw Saitama clap Garou.
Mm-hmm.
He knows.
Oh yeah, true. He knows.
Oh, by the way, I wasn't in that podcast, but what I tell you, man, I told you guys that there would be some element of Saitama not remembering what he did.
Yeah. I mean, at least Geno's remembered everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how that's gonna come in handy, because it should serve to potentially spur Saitama on, where in a case where Genos believes more in Saitama than he does. Because I'm not sure that it's been confirmed that Saitama kept that power up. Like, can he still sneeze and blow Jupiter apart, or like? I know he's not gonna.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know he's not gonna remember like how to do the whole time travel thing, but like, because he fused in order to be able to beat Garou with his one punch. He kept his power when he came back in time for sure, but he also fused with the original version of this timeline. So like, what does that mean?
I'm gonna give a prediction here. I think he lost the ability to sneeze Jupiter into dust. I don't think he's as powerful as he was when he was fighting future Garou.
So Saitama regressed?
Yes, sir.
I gotta fight you there.
I gotta accept that.
the
Like, I don't like that. I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way that feels. I don't like even thinking about that. I want Saitama to be able to sneeze and pop Jupiter, because the threat eventually is gonna have to match that. This story of One Punch Man cannot end with the ultimate climax being Saitama busting Jupiter, Even though we had this same discussion point earlier in the podcast, I'm not talking about an immediate, and I'm not talking about of a consequential increase in power of the villain or their stakes. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that at the end or at a different later point, I would definitely like to see Saitama achieve that same feat, a similar scale, or indefinitely a greater scale. Like, the fight with God is what I would anticipate to be a scale greater than that. And I don't know how that's going to work. Like, are we going to be fighting busting solar systems, bro? Like, is that what we're going to do now? Like, that's what we do? We bust solar systems and shit? Like,
Could be the case. Or it could just be like I already said that this will be kind of interesting. Like Saitama dealing with a very gimmicky villain. And we kind of already got that with Garou having the spatial powers with Blast, but I'm more so talking about like someone like their power is overpowered but very specific, and it's not necessarily to do with strength or like speed or something like that. I'm talking about something like they touch you, you die. Something crazy like that. Very JoJo-esque. I wonder how he would deal with a threat like that.
there's this is definitely, like you guys pointed out, a setup chapter. I'm expecting more of these, but at the same time, I'm also expecting things to tone down. Remember, One Punch Man was episodic at the beginning of its inception, of the entire story. So, not only would I not be adverse to going back to like episodic chapter adventures, where we get longer chapters, like 40, maybe even 50 pages, but they're one incident, until something else happens. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't know if we're going to go directly into a different arc. I don't know how these things are going to resolve, but we're going to see.
Yeah.
So that was it for this session's One Punch Man podcast, covering chapter 171. You can visit the channel and subscribe to check out all of the entirety of the playlists for all of the podcasts that we've covered, I believe from chapter 94 till here. In the same description, you can find links to all these individuals' channels and the content that they produce. Subscribe to those channels as well and watch those videos. See y'all boys next time. Yo!